I hear you say you've been doing some silly things, but what have you not been doing silly things?
Oh, a lot. Many things I do well.
Yeah. Who wouldn't you be if you weren't able to do some silly things and laugh sometimes?
I wouldn't be me.
And who wouldn't you be if you weren't you? Notice the feeling now? Is there any confidence or power coming in there?
No, just like, oh my God.
Check, is there any bundles of energy coming through yet?
No, I'm just confused now.
When wouldn't you be confused if you weren't confused now?
When wouldn't I be confused?
If you were feeling joyous?
Oh, I don't know. Say that again.
Hi guys, Adrian Cahill here. I'm an NLP trainer certified by both creators of NLP, Richard Bandler and John Grinder. I also trained under Stephen Gilligan and Robert Dilts. If you remember, all four of these characters have been in NLP since the very creation of it. Now, what I find hard is I often find it hard and a bit of a challenge to find real detailed and practical information on how to actually apply NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and to do this in coaching frameworks. So what I've got coming up for you is a session taken out of a live Zoom where I'm training a couple of students in how to use NLP in coaching, real-life coaching situations, okay? So I hope you enjoy the video. Now, in this video here, we're talking about Cartesian coordinates. You might learn Cartesian coordinates in your NLP training, but you're missing how to actually apply it. Or you might be an ICF, International Coaching Federation coach, who has received some professional training but want to implement NLP in it. So this model I'm about to show you in the video is really good for both NLP people and professional corporate style coaching. With this model, you will be able to relax and throw out amazing questions that will have your clients going into the unknown. And it will have you relaxing in the driver's seat while your client does the hard work. That's the way it's supposed to be in ICF coaching. ICF coaching, your client should be entering the unknown and finding new ideas. Where NLP can be like that, NLP can also be very directive. So the NLP is very broad and has a lot of applications, while the ICF coaching is more about having your client in the unknown, having your client digging down deep inside of themselves and finding their own resources inside, where NLP can do a whole lot more. So when we use this NLP model in ICF coaching, there are some ways that it needs to be applied, which is missed out in NLP training. Yeah. Okay, so just in brief, and I'll make this clearer, it'll be even clearer in the video. We have a concept or a problem, and a problem might be like, I have a problem. So what we're going to do with this I have a problem, we're going to break this up into two parts. The first part, maybe I have, and the second part, a problem. Now in the video, we're going to break up I have a problem, and we're going to teach you how to flip I have on its head or upside down, and we're going to have a look at a problem and flip that upside down. Reason being is when a client says I have a problem, a typical question will be, oh, what's the problem? So a client says, I have a problem, a typical coaching question or a typical person will say, well, what's the problem? That's one way to look at it, but there's actually four different ways we can think and formulate questions, at least four, yeah? So an example could be is I have a problem. See, I have being the blue positive, a problem being the blue negative. Now, if we just say, we flip the A on the head, I have, well, what if you don't have? What if someone else has? Who's not you that has a problem? Or we can flip the problem on its head. Well, what if you don't have a problem? And then we have the complete inverse, which is, well, I have becomes not you, inverse, not problem, not you, not problem. And that will really throw people in the confusion. And we'll cover that in the video as well. So when you're using ICF coaching, rather than asking, well, what's the problem? This model will give you at least 4 new, or 3 new, different directions in which you can formulate excellent questions. And from an NLP perspective, if you do the inverse, or if you start doing not questions or getting real bizarre questions, your coaching client may end up a little bit confused. And for those that do good NLP work or hypnotherapy, you might know that confusion is a great state to get your client. Now, I might not make it clear in the video, but there's a couple of parts in there where the clients get confused, or the students get confused. That is deliberate. And when the clients get confused, or it might not be deliberate, I ask the questions, and when I ask a not question, a client may naturally get confused. And when they get confused, we do NLP embed suggestions. And I don't think that was really clear in the video, because I didn't want to tell that to the students so obviously. Although I kind of did tell them obviously. Yeah. So when you do the inverse, not questions, people get into the confusion, that's when you embed suggestions. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. That will further explain this, and you're going to come up with some really great questions. You'll see it all in the video. You'll see how we do our training. This is a small session with 2 master practitioner students, or they are about halfway through their NLP master practitioner. Okay, thank you very much. Hope you liked the video. So ICF or professional coaching can be quite easy, and the key is to use the what questions. And when you're starting a coaching conversation, the what questions are kind of like, well, what are you here for? You know, what's going on? And then we start to ask what questions around the problem, what questions around the desired outcomes, what questions around resources and obstacles. That is kind of a very typical NLP model as well. What do you want? Or, how have you been? How do you want to be different? What are the resources and the obstacles to get across it? And then we actually start to do some change work. So after we ask questions about, what are they here for? What's the problem? What's the desired outcome? What are the resources? What are the obstacles? We've got to start to actually coach. And we continue using what questions, but now we start coaching by asking what questions around the resources and the obstacles. Yeah. And we might start to question the identity. Ask questions about the identity, or ask questions around what behaviors are needed, or what costs, what are the opportunity costs, or what are you missing out on, or what's stopping you from making the changes. A couple more what questions around what will be the best way forward. What precisely are you going to do differently? What decisions have you made? What have you learned? What have you experienced during our session? What are some of your new learnings? What are you going to do differently tomorrow? Yeah. What are some of the other benefits of what we've gone through today? So it spreads the changes out further. So you see a full ICF, it could be a master MCC level or a PCC level coaching, or what questions, just what are the what questions around? We're not asking what questions to get a solution until after we've got those initial agreement and that stuff set up. And we're not going to be asking them what questions about what have they learned until the end. Yeah. So it makes the whole ICF, PCC or MCC coaching easy, and you can relax and just use those what kind of questions. But would you like to know how to make it even easier still?
Most definitely.
And this is what I want to share with you guys. I want to share with you guys something that I seen in the NLP world, and it didn't make full sense when I first learned it. But maybe 5 or so years later, it really started to make sense. And when I'm coaching someone with the ICF protocols, it's so kind of easy because I use this very simple formula from Cartesian coordinates.
Oh, yeah.
And you get this Cartesian coordinates, you get this and you apply it to your ICF framework, and it's so easy. So easy. Cartesian coordinates give you 4 different questions, ultimately unlimited combination of new questions just by inversing or flipping a few things on their head. So it makes it really easy to get stellar results. Yeah? And we're getting stellar results not by leading them to a solution, not by dictating a solution, but by genuinely being maybe like clueless, which is what authentic coaching and ICF coaching is all about anyway. Yeah? Because if we're trying to guide them to love themselves more, then we have an objective and we're attached. Coaching is about being unattached. Well, masterful level is unattached. We're unattached to the outcome, right? So this is a whole lot, this is an improved way to coach so that we're really in the more of a true coaching mindset, and we're not going to be leading them and directing them so much. Simply by using these really simple what questions, like what resources are available, what's the problem, and simply using Cartesian coordinates on that. So I've got you, right? You're interested. It's simple. It's going to make things easy. And you've all kind of learned this before. So it'll be really simple to implement. So I didn't spend hours preparing this. It was really quick. We did this partly last night. Cartesian coordinates, you often see it like A, B, or maybe A plus B, A plus negative B. They often make it confusing with these pluses and negatives through it. But I'll make it really, really easier. So you have a blue A and the opposite of a blue A being a red A. Nice, simple, rather than positive, negative, just colors. So you might have something like I have a problem, and the first bit of it is I have, and the second bit of it is a problem. And it could be a longer thing like I have blah, 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 and I can't blah, 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 problem. It can be rather long, but we can just take any part of it and flip any part on its head. So when someone says, I have something, 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 a problem, we can just break it in half and we start to flip it on its head. So rather than I have a problem, a typical question would be, well, what's the problem? What is the problem, right? Well, what if we say, what's not the problem? Yep, so someone's focusing on the problem. Yeah, and we ask, what's the problem? Of course, they're already focused there. So we say, what's not the problem? And it draws their attention out. You know, like a smoker focused on the cigarette. They get really absorbed into the cigarette. So we say, well, what's not the cigarette? Oh, there's a whole wide world out there, but they're focused on the cigarette. So what's not gets them out of it. It gets them out of the trance, kind of wakes them up. So you could have, I have a problem. You could change that to I have a not problem, which is what if you don't have a problem? Okay, so you see I've represented I have a problem here with blue A, blue A, blue B. So it's I have a problem, but if we flip the last half on its head upside down, it becomes I have a not problem. Or what if you don't have a problem? Now, if we flip the A on the head, the first bit, I have, how do we flip I have upside down? Yep, now I go.
I don't have.
I don't have?
Yeah. What don't you have a problem with?
Yep, can do. Can. And what about not I?
So
Now, it sounds a little tricky at first, but not I. How do we say not I to a client? Well, hey, what if someone else had the problem?
yeah.
You could imagine a client really stuck on a problem. They're really stuck, and you say, well, what if someone else had the problem? Who wouldn't have the problem? What wouldn't have the problem? Where wouldn't have the problem? When wouldn't have the problem? Yeah. How wouldn't have the problem?
How?
Yep. So if you think about identity, I is an identity question like I have. So, who wouldn't? But you also have the what element, of having a problem, a what element, like a what. So, what wouldn't have a problem? Yeah. Location, where wouldn't the problem be? Time, when wouldn't the problem be? Now, you mentioned I know you've had some crisis recently. So where wouldn't you be if you hadn't had those crises?
Where wouldn't I be if I hadn't had them crises? Yeah. Double negative. If I hadn't had the crisis. Where wouldn't I be if I hadn't had? So that is the bottom right-hand corner. Correct?
Where wouldn't you be?
That's right. Yeah.
If you didn't. Yeah.
Yep.
And sometimes these tend to just flow, and sometimes you don't quite know what you're saying and you just say it. And it might not make full linguistic sense. And your client is suddenly,
yeah.
Remember, we kind of want that sometimes in coaching. We call it a transversal search, where the person is going into the darkness. They're like, oh, no one's asked me that question before.
Yeah. Create a state of confusion, which can lead to a point of clarity. I see the concept. Thank you.
And I wonder if Yolanda remembers this, because I remember she was the president of the class. When the person has confusion, what can we do? You remember how confusing it can be the first time you heard the double not. Like, where wouldn't you be? What wouldn't you be thinking about if you weren't here now? Where would you be, and what wouldn't you be doing if you weren't here now? Now, you're a smart man. You don't need all the answers. You just need the questions. You're a smart man. You don't need the answers. You just need to have the questions. This is a way to formulate the questions. Take little questions, take little parts, flip it. Just find a way to flip it, make it into a question. And if your client does a transversal search, or if they get confused,
brain is just like totally blocking out when this double negative thing is going. Can you translate that one time for me? So that I'm really bad in math. Okay. So what wouldn't you be when you wouldn't have the problem? What is the meaning? It's just like, for me as a coach, one time I want to understand it, to be able to do the math in my brain of what that actually even means.
Great. And what happens to your mind when you try to figure that out? Who wouldn't you be if you weren't here now?
It's just like
That's right. See, you're so smart. Unconsciously, you're starting to get it.
No,
you're starting to make you recognize that you don't really need to get it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. I'm just giving up on it. It's just like...
And you can relax even more. And when it comes to the questions, you can just relax more and throw them out. And if your client gets into that I'm confused state, you say, perfect, that's just where we want to be.
I like it. I could just think straight away now. That's interesting. I've got a sort of little clue. Thank you. So Yolanda, what sort of person would not you be? What sort of person wouldn't you be, all right, if you hadn't had that experience?
What's happening now? Notice your body. That's right. What's happening to your body now?
Actually, it's totally tensing up. It's it's in stress.
Because
I'm in stress with that
it's
question.
a real mentally going, okay, if I didn't have this problem, what would I not be? Well, how much is there? There's so much I wouldn't be. But if I have the problem, I'm this. So if I didn't have the problem, what would I be? Wow, look how big
what
that
would
is.
you not be when you wouldn't have the problem?
That's right.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. It's about mind expansion. I can see now how it works, because the more the intellect, the greater the possibilities. So, yeah. Okay, I got that one. That's
now,
great.
JJ, give me a real little problem or a challenge you've been having. Just in short.
Okay.
You got it in your mind? Yep.
A real little problem or a challenge.
Can you make it into a sentence for me?
Yes. I still have a low self-belief in myself.
That's the way you've been.
Yeah.
How do you want to be different?
I want to be confident and self-empowered.
Confident and self-empowered. Yep. What's it like when you're really confident and self-empowered?
Joyous feeling.
Joyous feeling, yeah. How joyous? Like
Happiness, calm. Just.
What happens when you really turn it up and like you're really feeling joyous?
I'm like a bundle of energy. My mind is working so well.
Yeah. Yeah. And that bundle of energy, yeah?
Mm.
Yeah. Confident and powerful.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But you have this problem. You have a little problem at the moment, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might have been there before, actually. So were you saying low on self-belief? Was that it?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I do some silly things at times.
Oh, I hear you say you've been doing some silly things, but what have you not been doing silly things?
Oh, a lot. Many things I do well.
Yeah. Oh, who wouldn't you be if you weren't able to do some silly things and laugh sometimes?
I wouldn't be me.
And who wouldn't you be if you weren't you? Notice the feeling now? Is there any confidence or powerlessness coming in there?
No, just like, oh my God.
Check, is there any bundles of energy coming through yet?
No, I'm just confused now.
When wouldn't you be confused if you weren't confused now?
When wouldn't I be confused?
If you were feeling joyous?
Oh, I don't know. Say that again. I can't take it.
And if you were very confident, which you are deeper down confident, when wouldn't you be confident if you weren't now? Even more confident and powerful. Looking back, you've really had a lot of confidence and power in the past, haven't you?
Yeah.
Haven't you not?
I have, yes.
That's right. And that confidence and power you've had in the past have led you to many joyous experiences, and you've had bundles of energy, and you will have them again. Now, notice where they will come from next time. Where wouldn't you be expecting that bundle of joy to appear? Where wouldn't you be expecting that bundle of joy to appear?
Yeah. If I'm feeling depressed or some other feeling which is negative.
And how would you be as a coach if you never felt depressed?
Not good. Yeah. Not effective.
How would you be as a coach if you never had that range of emotions and experiences?
I wouldn't be as empathetic. I'd have lesser lesser scope of experience to bring to the coaching table for others.
So who wouldn't you be if you didn't have these experiences?
I wouldn't be a good coach.
That's right. Now, final question. How wouldn't you be if you weren't the old Jay? Confident, powerful, joyous.
How wouldn't I be if I wasn't the old Jay? Yeah, I wouldn't be the person sitting here today.
Just briefly, how are you noticing, and what are you noticing that's different in your body now when you think about that feeling confident, powerful, joyous?
Just having a little bit of joy going, and it's calming. It's actually going, feeling calm, not tense. It just dissipated any little bit of anxiety, and
that's right.
And
that's right.
Mm.
And when you think about that old thing that you brought a few minutes ago, what are you noticing that's different about that now?
I'm thinking how silly I am to even doubt myself.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because you need doubt sometimes. It's how you get better. So well done.
Yeah.
Well done. And perhaps every time you question yourself now, you'll recognize that that's actually you coaching yourself to be even better. Now.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's good.
Now more confident, now more powerful, now recognizing that that's actually double check. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, it's brilliant. That's a great example. I loved it.
Hi guys, thanks for checking out this video. We're going to be hitting NLP Cartesian Coordinates. You're going to find it excellent, especially if you're a coach or an NLP hypnotherapist kind of person. Now there's three main ways to use this, and in this video we are focusing on the first two, that is ICF coaching and the NLP kind of confusion embedding suggestions method. We'll cover that in the video. There's one more way that you can really use what's coming up, and we haven't shared that in the video. It's a little bit of an extra. I just wanted to quickly add in here. What we are using here, you can use on stage. You can use this with your kids. You can use this to make short little bits of information more unforgettable. Tinder profile. Whatever you want. Okay, we have this thing called negation, and NLP Cartesian Coordinates is simply a matter of using negation, and using negation at various points. So we often start by having a statement A, B, and we put the negation in the start, or in the end, and then at the end of Cartesian Coordinates, we're using negation at the start and the end being a double negation. Now, when you say something like a bunch of kids, a long time ago, I stepped into a preschool, and I was actually like a kindy teacher just for like 6 months, just learning how their brains work. I was there for fun. And whenever one of the kids would jump on the chairs, you could see the kid jumping on the chair, and you could watch the teacher say, "Hey, don't jump on the chairs!" And suddenly other kids would hear it. And then some of them would jump on their chairs. So when we negate something and say like not, don't jump on the chairs, it's actually a bit of a suggestion, and the kids have to think, jumping on chairs. Okay, don't jump on chairs. So with kids, it's not really good to use negation. Now, when we say don't jump on chairs, it takes them a little bit longer to process. They have to think of a chair. Okay, don't do that. Yeah. Now, with adults, we can do the process rather fast, but it still takes a little bit longer. So to process the command or the suggestion, sit down, rather than don't stand on the chairs, it takes a little longer when we use the don't. So using negation can put in ideas. It can also take longer. As a speaker, you can use this with your audience. If you want your audience to really think deeper about something, use negation technique. But not one, double. For example, there was a Japanese Zen monk. He said, To think that I am not going to think of you anymore is still thinking of you. Let me then try to not think that I am not going to think of you. Did you get that? Or you need to hear it again. Now, if I was to say, well, you're unforgettable, you're unforgettable, really short, you get it. But when I say, to think that I am not going to think of you anymore is still thinking of you. Let me then try to not think that I am not going to think of you. So the double negation requires people to slow down, stop, and think of things deeper. As you'll see in the demo, particularly at the end, around the 30-minute mark, I have my wonderful client student getting into a bit of confusion. Yeah, you can do the same thing with an audience or your kids. Yeah? At that point, the client gets into a bit of confusion, and I kind of jam in there the embedded suggestion, and I put in commands like, you can do this, you are good enough, what if overthinking was actually you coaching yourself so you can get better results? Yeah? We put in all those embedded commands after the negation or the confusion, or when the client processes it, that's when we put that in. Okay, so you can really use this video if you're a speaker, if you want to influence more powerfully, and then in a moment we'll get into all the coaching with ICF and NLP coaching, NLP hypnotherapy, how you can use all these beautiful Cartesian coordinates. I hope you enjoy the video. Let us know if you want more. We've got videos on addiction, procrastination, money, all kinds of coaching things. See you soon. I hope you enjoy. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you at the end.